Bienvenidos, worldwide fans of the planet's hottest entertainment with an edge. Jaime En Fuego here, and I welcome you to my namesake program, Enfuegotainment, FRESCA FUEGO review, a rapido one, as I try to keep these brief and not take up too much of your time, but this is for a film that just hit VOD today. It was originally supposed to be in theaters back in April, but we all know what's happened to the world in the last couple of months. It has been straight up cray, and this is a film that I saw a trailer for many months ago, was definitely intrigued. This is Judy and Punch. This is actually the screenplay writer slash directorial debut of Mira Fox, who is a Australian actress who has actually, not just over there, but you know, here in the States has been in a few things. She was on the Hawaii Five-0 reboot. She had a smaller role in 2015's The Gift. That was directed by, it was either Jason Bateman or Joel Edgerton. I forget which of those two actors, but both of them were in that terrific film. So she's seen her share of work over here in, you know, North America and stuff, but she is primarily known for her Aussie career. But yeah, so written the screenplay, co-wrote the story, and directed it. And yeah, it's a very just polished and professional looking directorial debut. Very impressive. I mean, you've got two very well-esteemed leads as well, in Damon Herriman, I believe his name is. So he's been in tons of stuff lately. He was, I mean, a lot of people will possibly recognize him as playing Charles Manson in both the Mindhunter show, in that single episode that featured him, but he also played Manson, a younger version, albeit, in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. But he's done tons of other stuff. He was in 100 Bloody Acres, which was a film from a few years ago, a horror film actually, that we reviewed on my separate YouTube channel, The Horror Show. I mean, he just has a lengthy list of various awesome things that he's done. And then Mia Wasikowska, I believe her name is. I've been a fan of hers for many years. I didn't like the two Tim Burton, well, the one Tim Burton and the one James Bobbin Alice in Wonderland films that Disney did, but I really liked her in the role. I thought she was solid, and just last year she was in one of my favorite horror thrillers called Piercing. That was fantastic. She was also in Only Lovers Left Alive, even though the film wasn't that good. Crimson Peak, she was in that. So I mean, yeah, esteemed, and you know, just lots of names behind this. And this is a period piece. It takes place in seaside England, and you kind of get the vibe, even though they never specify like actual time period, it's kind of that, I'm guessing, I mean, post you know, Black Plague, like I don't know, basically, you know, like post-medieval times, as technology is starting to kind of come into play, but there's still an aversion to medicine, and it's often, you know, proclaimed as witchcraft, and, you know, the witch hunt aspect that happened both over there and over here in the States as well is very much a point of emphasis in the storytelling. But really the biggest thing is that this is all about the relationship between a husband and a wife, and they have a child together very young, and it becomes fractured. And I try not to spoil stuff in these reviews, but it's mentioned in the synopsis, so you at least have to go into it. It's also seen in the trailer that, so Judy is, you know, Mia's character, and then Damon is the aforementioned Professor Punch. And so, yeah, they are marionettes together, and they have a very successful show. Unfortunately, it's one that was in the big time at one particular point, but poverty and having a child, and obviously the plague taking part in that as well, yeah, they are back in this smaller town, and they're almost like big fish in a small pond instead of where they previously resided. And so it obviously kind of tears up Professor Punch a little bit, but he's boozing, he's a little bit unstable, and he's reckless, and he's not taking the best care of their child. It's causing even more friction on top of their social economic status and whatnot. And so, yeah, the one thing that I have to say is some bad stuff goes down with her, and she basically has to go after him for an essence of revenge without really getting into too much spoilerific detail. But this is really more so, even though it has dramatic elements, it's very darkly comedic, especially for the time period that they're tackling. Major Python vibes, big time. It's a little more on the serious side when it gets serious, but for the most part, especially with some of the whimsy and the occasional silliness that we get, and just the attention to detail with the costuming, some of the jokes, the visual stylings, and it definitely has that vibe. And after having recently watched Jabberwocky and I mean even other stuff that you know, Gilliam and Cleese and that whole gang did, you know, it's not to a Grail level of silliness, obviously, but it's still. It looks great, the locations are tremendous, already mentioned costuming and just the look of everything, and the performances are very convincing and very good. Boy, does Damon make you hate his ass. I was watching this with Catherine, and boy, her blood was like boiling at just the stuff that this character does. He really just incites anger within the audience. He's a real slimeball piece of shite, man. And you know, Mia is good as always. She's consistent in pretty much everything I've seen her in, even as far back as like Rogue, the Crocodile movie, which is another Aussie one. I think Greg McLean did that one, and he went on to, well, I think he'd already done Wolf Creek, and then he did the second Wolf Creek and Wolf Creek TV series and stuff. I gotta say, I am just continually impressed with the Australian filmmaking community, whether it's horror or otherwise, and because we watch a lot of Aussie horror over on the horror show. We just watched Scare Campaign recently, which is from a few years back. Really loved that film. But horror, this is not, you know, but it does have that revenge, slight bit dramatic thriller aspect to it, but it does also have that over-the-top black comedy of sorts that kind of hinders you from taking the proceedings as seriously. So that is one of the detriments. As great as the film looks, as just polished and pristine as it is for a first-time director, it always helps when it's an actor that is segueing in because they've probably been on set so many times and seen the process and has a great team assembled behind them. But it is the tone not always being as balanced and kind of skittering around a little bit. I also took some exception with the score. I know a lot of people enjoy the Knight's Tale, Moulin Rouge, these films that are very obviously period pieces, but they have very modern sounding music. At times it felt very appropriate for this period, and then at others, especially during the marionette scene at the very beginning, where we hear a very, very popular score. I can't name the composer right offhand, but it's probably one of those that's recognizable by just about any age, walk of life, whatever. And then we get some synth drums coming in, and then I'm just like, okay, so this is going to be one of those, which is fine because there's all two other times where, you know, the songs are very folky, and I don't know, it's still a tremendously produced soundtrack, and it fits when it's supposed to, but when there's other instances where they're kind of like pushing the melding of those tones, like I was talking, it feels a little jarring. This is also a film that I contend could have probably dealt with a little bit of trimming as far as the runtime goes. I think it was over 100 minutes. It was like hour 45, something like that. Especially since it drags a little bit in the middle between the initial thing that goes down with said husband and then when she finally turns around to confront him. When she does confront him, and this isn't a super spoilery thing, but she's got like this Assassin's Creed type garb on, and she does this full front flip bit of craziness when there's a specific confrontation going on later in the film, and it just really made me laugh. I kind of got the vibe that that was supposed to be the case, but yeah, it slows down in the middle where she is taken in by this, band of these pagans, these heretics, these witches as they're proclaimed. And I mean, yeah, there's people, accusations galore, people being stoned and, attempted hangings, all this different stuff, because there is just that witch hunt that I mentioned, the paranoia aspect, and the fact that people can be just accused of stuff and with no evidence whatsoever, they could potentially die. And so, yeah, it's fun, it's very well put together, but it does have its issues, unfortunately. And if they did kind of, lessen that runtime just a little bit, I feel like it could have been a slightly tighter film, and it might have been for the benefit of pacing and stuff like that. But really, just to double down on Mira and the job that she did as a first-time director, I leave immensely impressed, and I can't wait to see, what else comes through the pipeline. It's always great to just see that somebody feels like a pro and just looks like it right out of the gates. I mean, you can't really deny that sort of talent. It's always great to see on display. So yeah, not a perfect film, unfortunately, but definitely one that I would totally recommend, especially if you like this sort of just, throwback to, some of that 70s-esque Python goofiness, and if you like period pieces with solid performances throughout. I didn't love it, but I especially appreciated it, so this gets 3 out of 5 Fuego Fireballs. That's right, this is definitely a bueno film. Probably more like 3.5, but I can't give it that 4, unfortunately. But yes, definitely recommend it, everybody. So, I've been Jaime En Fuego. Y'all can find moi on all social media sectors, just like you see below. Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, here on YouTube, and on my personal channel here in Enfuegotainment. It is primarily indie, drama, comedy, Oscar, contenders, things of that nature, but I do also have a nice counterbalance that includes, geeking out a little bit, Star Wars stuff, comic book stuff. When we still got those movies, the industry is kind of at a standstill right now, unfortunately, but I also do a Retro Fuego Thursdays, I do an Animated Mondays, I do a Saturday, or Shite Day, I don't know what the hell I'm calling it at this point, but yeah, Saturdays are essentially where something I've watched recently that I was ill too impressed with, it kind of, it gets the credit that it is obviously due, or the forewarning that is necessary. So yeah, that's going to be the extent of it, everybody. If you do like the Spooktacular, jump over to youtube.com/The Horror Show channel, as I mentioned earlier. Lots of fun stuff with myself, Susie, Cecil, Marsha, and Robert Toole over there. But yeah, until the Reel of Ka comes around once more, I say hasta luego. Cinemigos, constant readers and viewers alike, say thank you for tuning in today, but I'm hopeful that we share more of this film palaver sooner rather than later. Till then, stay home, stay safe, watch more movies.